It runs the world's biggest censorship regime, and now China's government wants a bigger say in how the global internet is run. The President Xi Jinping is pushing the idea of internet sovereignty as he hosts an international forum on web governance. For more, I'm joined by technology expert Rob Livingstone, who runs his own business and is a fellow at the University of Technology, Sydney. Can you tell me firstly, what's your take on this? What's China trying to do here?
Well, if you look at the origins of the internet for the first thing, the internet is built on the premise of open, unrestricted access and use. By China trying to quarantine off elements or trying to rule elements of the internet goes against the original intent of the internet per se. How this pans out ultimately will depend on a range of factors, such as the prevalence of cybercrime, the trust that people develop in years to come over the unrestricted internet and so on.
So can we flesh that out a little bit then?
Sure.
What is then the future of the internet if China's essentially trying to quarantine aspects of it?
Well, the technological cat and mouse game played between people that are trying to regulate anything to do with the internet and what actually happens are often two different conversations. China may, or anyone else may, try and regulate parts of the internet, but invariably there will be some sort of workarounds, and that remains to be seen in the fullness of time, whether in fact that actually does occur or not.
And there are other issues at play here too, aren't there? We've got cybercrime. We also have this idea of allegations of state-sponsored hacking.
Absolutely, very much so. In fact, it's almost the wild west on the internet, with a whole constellation of unethical or unexpected events, cybercrime, both state-sponsored, business interest, cybercrime, and many analysts really are saying that the bad guys are winning. So one has to balance the utility and benefit of the internet to potentially what is the downside and the risks.
So should the rest of the world then be worried that a power the size of China is moving in this direction?
Well, I think it's a question of watch and observe, because the dialogue and conversations at a kind of a policy higher level obviously sometimes are somewhat distant from what is actually happening deep within the bowels of the internet, which is somewhat a mercurial and sort of shadowy kind of a world. So somewhere between the two, the truth will emerge, and we'll see how that pans out.
Well, it sounds like the stuff of science fiction, doesn't it, really? But the internet was designed to improve access to open communication.
Correct.
Can China have it both ways? Can it, in fact, have that, very latest modern technology and at the same time impose these kind of restrictions?
Well, the answer is probably yes and no, because on the one hand, China needs modern high technology organisations from the West typically to help them develop this high level capability. But the paradox is providing all this high-tech, best of breeds, bleeding edge intellectual property to a somewhat mercurial organisation in China is a balance between the commercial imperative of selling goods and services into China and not having those stolen or otherwise, compromised. So it is a trade-off.
Rob Livingstone, thanks so much for joining us today.
It's a pleasure.